A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
Presentation. Well, after 2 weeks of being separated, the gang is all back together at Virginia International Raceway. It is the first time VIR has appeared on Turn 200, and what a way to usher it in, with 20 minutes of official racing action here in the Sunday afternoon official top split strength of field broadcast for the Mission R Challenge. Welcome in, one and all, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, the evening for you. Happy Sunday and happy Mission R Challenge here on Turn 200. It's Tommy Cook. It's the GOAT, Matt Williamson. We're back together here. And ready to go for what is proven to be in qualifying here, a tough challenge here for the drivers.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, there's a lot of drivers that have put laps in for qualifying, but they have not been able to put a qualifying time down because of off-track penalties. So certainly a difficult track to keep all four wheels on the racing surface. And maybe just not very kind to the drivers. The off-track penalties are here. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough challenge, and I think this is a track that probably not many of the drivers have really spent much time on either. So that always poses a challenge as well.
Yeah, only 11 of the 20 drivers actually managed to post their opening lap. After one lap attempted in qualifying, 2 drivers actually just left. So that should pose somewhat of a frame of reference here of what these drivers are dealing with. A quick look at the points here as we stand week number 8 for what should be the final official race of the week.
Yep, this is week number 8. This should be the final race, as you said. Olivia Hayward currently leading the points. Has 892 points here this season. JJ Wang right on her heels, 43 points behind. Then Ella Spice is not too far behind JJ, so that's kind of a 3-horse race for the top spot here in the Porsche Mission R Challenge. And then we have Maxime Grenon down in 4th, Enrico Trenti in 5th. Dario Frattini, Marlon Orlando, Jamie Hamel-Smith, Jackie Matthews, and Duncan Watts will round out the top 10 here. But like I said, really 3 drivers vying for this championship. At this point, Grenon is sort of within striking distance, but would need some bad weeks from those other 3 drivers.
Yes, indeed. And with I don't believe Olivia Hayward is in the field here today. That would mean that JJ Wang and Ella Spice are the only 2 drivers to compete in every Sunday official race this season. So like you said, some bad luck needed for a couple of drivers to claw their way back into this championship, including 2 of the more dominant drivers that we've seen, who are at the top of the scoring pylon right now in the closing seconds of qualifying. Dario Frattini and Enrico Trenti two of the more prolific performers in this young Cars iRacing tenure. Trenti, we saw win last week at the Nürburgring. We've seen 3 victories from Dario Fortini this season, and it is finally time for them to square off against one another here on turn 200. And they should be doing so from the front row here, as the only car left out on track belongs to Rafredo Gaetani di Aragona. And I don't believe our friend Rafredo here has posted a time on his final lap. So that should give us 14 drivers that have set a time. And we should be about ready to go. I just realized I did not edit our little stat sheet here, but 1 minute and 40 seconds. That is going to be, 12 or 13 laps here for this 20-minute race at VIR, with a starting grid looking like this. Dario Fortini with the top time, 141, 145 for Dario. Enrico Trenti on the outside of the front row. JJ Wang and Jamie Hamel-Smith finished on the podium last week, starting in 4th. Marlon Orlando and Indica Scarlet on row number 3. Ellis Spice will be starting in 7th. Georgie Trepsick on the outside of row number 4. And John Schneebel and Jay Lasco round out your top 10 starters. Roel de Mulder and Ryan Phillips on row 6. Duncan Watts, another podium finisher from last week, starts in 13th with Marcel Retschlag to his outside. Maxime Grenon and Gerard Bouldieu on row number 8. On row 9, Stephen Duncan and Raymond Deventer. Actually, it's Rafredo, and I will refrain from saying the rest of that, but Stephen Duncan is outside then. Ramon Deventer is back in the session. Luca Walmer, I don't believe, ever connected. So only 19 drivers here as we get about ready to go here. We got about 50 seconds, Matt, before these drivers take off. Some things to keep in mind here at VIR and some things that maybe caught your eye in practice.
Yeah, well, we've talked about the draft in these cars before, and there is a long straight here at VIR. So it gives the drivers some opportunity to use that draft to their advantage. Of course, you're going to have to hang on as long as you can for to be able to actually use that draft. But if you are able to keep touch with somebody, that is a great spot to try and make a pass into. I think it's a right-hand turn after that, as we are taking the green flag.
Here we go. Fortini on driver's right here to Enrico Trenti as everybody barrels down to the horseshoe, turn number 1. Trenti got a nose ahead, but now we'll have to fend off JJ Wang here as they head to the NASCAR bend. Contact all through the field as everybody tries to get it sorted out. Top 4 gets single file after that. Around NASCAR in the left hook. Now we head towards the snake. This doesn't count as one of the long straights, but this is a long, winding passage here up the hill.
Certainly is. This is a very, very difficult section. You're going to see a lot of off-tracks here just in the 20 minutes, and with these heavy cars, it doesn't make it any easier, that's for sure.
It sure does not.
There it goes.
Whoa! Hamel Smith.
Oh, they're both off track.
So Trenti falls from second back to fourth.
Another one.
Indica Scarlet off the track, as well as Gerard Bouldieu. Fortini out by quite some margin, over a second. Yeah, depending on who you ask, VIR is either really fun or it is an absolute nightmare. Some drivers would rather forget that this opening lap has happened at all. Gerard Bouldieu, unfortunately, meatball flag. That might be the end of the race. Fortini leading Wang, Orlando, Trenti, and Spice, the top 5.
And we'll put the track map up for everybody that's probably not very familiar here with VIR. So we'll take a look just past the start-finish stretch and directly into a horseshoe right-hander.
Marlon Orlando in third right now, but Enrico Trenti has got himself gathered back up and is looking to get on the attack here to move back up onto the podium places as they start to head through the snake.
And Trenti was caught up in that early incident and is now trying to fight back. That is the closest battle on the track here with Marlon Orlando. And lots of love for Marlon, as always, in the chat. Love to see it.
Through South Bend now around to where the oak tree used to be. Much like Augusta, the most famous tree on the property, gone. But Trenti should be able to make something happen here. Headed towards the roller coaster section, back down the long back straightaway. Setting up for a pass to driver's left, the preferred entry into 14. And it's good. So move Trenti back onto the podium. Oh, Orlando off! We'll let two drivers go through, Ellis Spice and Jamie Hamel-Smith, so that will move Marlon Orlando back to 6th. A tough few corners there for Orlando.
And Hamel-Smith is working on a pass as here comes Trepsick to try and pass Grenon here, but will be on the outside into the right-hander.
Fastest driver on the track is race leader Dario Fertini, still well out to a 2-second advantage over JJ Wang, who sits in 2nd. "20 turns, 3.27 miles. This is a long course, like you alluded to, with some tough sections. I'd say most of the field has handled it pretty well, or at least have overcome their early problems.
Yeah, that opening stretch there, safety rating hard to come by in those first lap and a half, couple laps there, but started to thin out now as Grenon has gapped Trepsick and is now working on Marlon Orlando. Hamel-Smith still has not gotten past Ellis Spice yet, but still keeping within distance.
Ellis took the Oak Tree Bend really wide, but got great drive off down the straightaway, so I think is going to be able to hold on into the roller coaster here. Corner names are fun. It just sounds like I'm saying a bunch of nonsense. Like I'm throwing a dart at a dictionary and seeing what words can come up. But that gap closes up here as we go through the hog pin.
Yes. That's definitely one of the favorites.
Hamel-Smith doing a nice job here. We'll get a long pull down this bend front straightaway. And we'll have the preferred positioning here into turn 1.
Spice is going to try to slow down early and go for the crossover. Not quite going to be able to make that work.
Yeah, Hamel-Smith covered it up pretty nicely, and Jamie for the second week in a row knocking on the door of the podium. But some work to do to catch Enrico Trenti, who's about 3 seconds ahead. Trenti is trying to track down JJ Wang. Should point out as well for Enrico Trenti, he swept the Nürburgring official races and also won the Thursday top split race here at VIR. So he's on quite the roll right now, as you would expect.
Wang and Trenti running very similar lap times right now. Trenti only 3 100ths faster than Wang the last time around.
Marcel Retschlag has thrown in the towel, so he will be the 19th and final finisher of those who actually took the green flag here. Grenon closing in on Orlando. That would be for spot number 6.
We haven't done this yet. Let's go ahead and go to a cockpit view as Grenon tries to run down Orlando. going through the start finish as we speak. We'll try to take a whole lap around here, barring any crazy action.
Not been hard to come by here in the early going.
Oh, there's the crazy action right here in front of Grenon. Orlando is
around.
around.
Oh, and a lock up from behind. Trepsic has locked it up into one. I believe some contact maybe with Royal de Mulder. There it is. You set it in motion. I blame you squarely.
And now there's a big battle, 3-car battle.
And Georgie Trepsic off track again, has a meatball flag, I think just trying to let everybody go through.
This battle for 8th is between DeMulder, Schneebel, and Indica. And then running down Marlon Orlando, who may have some damage here. So now it's a 4-car battle for 7th.
And trying to keep tire temperature in line as well. Spinning out does not help, as that was a big lockup there.
Schneebel moves back to 10th now on the mistake. Now on the long straight.
Schneebel will have another crack here at Indica Scarlet into the roller coaster. See if anybody is going to box this time around after that wild exchange there into turn 1. Doesn't look like it. One driver that certainly will be Georgie Trepsic, who has a meatball flag. So yeah, about that onboard.
Yeah, that was something.
As shade has come over most of the venue here.
And weather conditions weren't, it wasn't real hot. 91 degrees on the track temperature right now. It was a couple degrees warmer earlier.
Fertini and Wang running very similar lap times here. But JJ still about 2.5 seconds behind Fertini. Dario just came over the radio though and said, "JJ, please leave me alone." So he must think that JJ's closing.
Duncan Watts has all of a sudden gotten himself in this battle as well. Has been reeling in Schneebel within the last lap or so. Oh, and a big surge there down that straightaway. Going back to those S's, this is maybe the toughest set of S's that we have. I know Coda would probably rival that as well. But especially with this heavy car, the weight transfer from one side to the other, 4 or 5 S's in a row is just very, very difficult to handle. Oh, and more Orlando is around into the grass.
Back to 11th, was running in 7th, so there's 4 cars that have gone by. This has been a tough race for Marlon Orlando, who started in the 5th position.
Going up to JJ Wang and Fertini. Last lap around, Wang a half a second slower than Fertini, or nearly. Here's Orlando now working on Watts.
These two nearly made contact a couple of corners ago, heading into the South Bend. Orlando, I'm sure, wants to get anything back at this point.
Use the draft. Has to back off. Couldn't quite get there.
It's smart thinking, though, to not push the issue too much there.
Well, oh! Problem there for Watts. Had to get off the throttle, and Orlando nearly dumps him.
That was awfully close. Defense here into the bend and getting ready to head up to turn 1. Gap has opened up front to over 3 seconds now, so Fertini handling J.J. Wang here very well. Rico Trenti fading back from Wang as well.
Wow, you can hear those tires underneath. Really hurting.
I believe Roalton Mulder and Stephen Duncan have both said over the radio that the tires are absolutely gone, and they have been gone for quite a few laps here.
Well, you can hear it underneath these cars. We're still on board with Orlando here.
Well, they only need to hang on for another 6 minutes. But this is really the section of the track that it'll get you here. Working up through the snake. Wow, that was awfully close.
And Orlando carrying a lot of speed, getting right up to the back of Watts. Have another crack at it down the straight.
We'll get the big draft here. Should be able to make it happen, although he did have a checkup there out of the oak tree.
He's going to try it.
I think it's his corner here into the roller coaster. Yep, and Watts will roll out. So Orlando back up now into the top 10. Next closest battle on the track is still Indica Scarlet trying to track down Roalton Mulder for 7th. So, interesting over the radio. Maxime Grenon apparently is 1-4X away from being disqualified from this race. And Maxime running into 6th position right now.
Or 4 off tracks.
Or 4 off tracks.
Which, those are not hard to come by here.
And just as I say that, he nearly spins it out. He had it locked up and sideways. I don't think enough to get a 2x loss of control, but right on that line there. Goodness gracious.
Grenon's had to work for this one. Wasn't able to put a qualifying time in. Up 9 positions, up to 6 now. And it was difficult to get through traffic that first lap and a half, to say the least.
Yes, everybody was everywhere. If you weren't Dario or JJ, you had to go through some stuff. That's for sure. That gap has opened up big time up front. Over 5 seconds now for Fertini over JJ Wang. This one should be well in hand, but 3.5 to go.
And lap number 10 is up on the board for the leaders.
I think I should be about right. Love those quick maths, huh?
Yeah, we're right on the cusp of 2 or 3 laps left here.
We've got 18 of our 19 starters still out on track, as Rafredo has gotten around Duncan Watts now for spot number 10. That one sort of snuck up on me.
I think Orlando had an issue and may have slowed Watts up as well. kind of hard to tell. Let's go ahead and try to take a look at this. So that's Orlando that goes around. And then again, maybe not. I'm thinking Refredo may have just gotten the pass done on the straight after Orlando went around. But Orlando continues to have major issues with the tires in the car.
Well, Gerard Boldu just piled into the back of Stephen Duncan and got them both disqualified. So that is our first disqualification on the channel, at least I think, in our coverage of the Porsche Mission Art Challenge.
The gap for Frattini has ballooned up to 5.7 seconds. Last lap around, Frattini was about 0.6, about half a second faster, but the lap before that, Wang was about a second and a half slower than Frattini. So Wang starting to slip a little bit, and actually Trenti's starting to reel in a little bit as well. So Wang's just trying to keep this thing in second.
Oh, Indica Scarlet into the back of Roel de Mulder round.
Here comes Schneebel.
Scarlet had slowly closed that gap, but then closed it big time, a bit too much into the first turn. Under a minute left to go. Frattini working down the backstretch should be able to get to the line before time runs out. It's going to be awfully close, though.
Schneebel still working on Scarlet Indica. Maxime Grenon, despite the issues, has started to reel in Ellis Spice right behind now. And leaders are just now crossing the line, so lap 12 will go up on the board, and this will be the final lap.
Frattini 7 seconds clear of J.J. Wang as, oh, more problems for Scarlet off the track. We'll lose another position here to Refredo. Move back to spot number 10. Grenon has pulled up to Spice for what would be a spot in the top 5. Grenon again, right up against the incident limit here. Can't afford any contact or off tracks here on the final lap.
JJ Wang also continues to fall back towards Trenti, but maybe too little too late.
A couple more laps, I think we'd have something on our hands as long as JJ doesn't have a big mistake here in the final couple of turns.
Oh, Grenon, big mistake there on the exit of the S's.
Coming down the roller coaster, getting ready to head around the hog pin, Dario Frattini with a dominant performance here at VIR. As JJ Wang has gone off track. Here's Enrico Trenti. The battle for second is on as Dario Frattini is going to win here at VIR. How is it going to play out for second? Trenti dipping the tires off into the grass. A drag race down around the bend. And JJ Wang, by the skin of his teeth, is going to hang on to second. Enrico Trenti with a thrilling battle down to the line. Trenti will finish third. Hamel Smith and Ellis Spice then round out the top 5.
Wow.
Woo! You said that gap was closing. It closed real quick.
It certainly did.
Couple more close battles. Indica Scarlet is pulling up. but not quite going to get it done in time. Indica will finish in 10th. Rafredo Gaetani di Aragona will finish in 9th. And hang on to those final 2 spots in the top 10. This was a tough one for sure. First 2 disqualifications of the season, at least on the Sunday top split, happened. It sounds like a bit of a contentious situation there. I won't weigh in any further than that. As the final seconds start to tick away here, and waiting on, I believe, Raymond Deventer, the last driver, to come around to take the checkered flag in 15th. Before we can give you the official finishing order here. And indeed, we can now do just that. And we will. Dario Frattini with win number 4 on the season for the Sunday top split. It is JJ Wangden who will finish in spot number 2. Enrico Trenti follows up 3 wins in a row for the top split strength of field races with a 3rd place finish here after some early problems. Jamie Himmel-Smith will finish in 4th. Ellis Spice in 5th. Maxime Grenon, a great drive through the field here, 15th to 6th for Maxime. Roel de Mulder will finish in 7th. John Schneebel in 8th. Alfredo Gaetani di Aragona will finish in 9th. That never gets any less fun to say. Indica Scarlett will finish 10th. Marlon Orlando, tough day for him, will finish down outside of the top 10 in 11th. Duncan Watson, 12th. Ryan Phillips in 13th. Jay Lasco, 14th. Raymond Deventer in 15th. Georgie Trepsick, Gerard Boldu, Stephen Duncan, Marcel Retschlag down through 19th. The 19 drivers who took the green flag here at VIR for week number 8. We're going to wait just a beat. I don't believe we've had Enrico Trenti in the booth here, but we're going to make sure he is not going to appear before we bring JJ Wang in for second. So, Matt, I guess some quick thoughts here about what we just saw at VIR.
Ooh, boy. I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough test. I don't think we knew it was going to be quite that tough. That was awful difficult for the drivers. I don't think we really expected the tires to go away quite that quickly. I know that we've definitely had some tire life issues in the past, but wasn't quite expecting it to be that bad here at VIR. So quite interesting to see the drivers struggle so badly. And boy, we got some fireworks today as well. There were quite a few contact incidents here tonight. So yeah, plenty of action here for the top split strength of field race for the Porsche Mission Art Challenge.
Yes, indeed. A lot of fireworks, and some of them coming there in the final couple of turns for your second place finisher here. Welcome back to JJ Wang to booth 200. Nice job holding on there for what was a pretty wild final lap for you.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if you caught it on camera, but I just went a little too fast trying to push Dario, and just the wicked slide on Oak Tree. I was actually surprised it didn't just go around. But then after that, tires were just done. It was just holding on to dear life. Once you scrub them that hard, you really just fall back on pace and just in handling in general. Even if you move your brake bias to positive, each car just wants to rotate. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay P2.
I mean, what does this tire in the most here? Obviously the weight of the car, but is there any one particular section of the track? Is it the slowdowns? Is it the snake? What really does this car in here?
I think that answer is kind of, I don't mean to have a cop out, but I think that answer is kind of different for everybody. I know talking with some of my other teammates or some of the guys at a setup shop, they had different issues with tires at different corners. For me, I think the roller coaster section, the final sector, was just awful for me. It was so hard to get the car slowed down without sliding. And even when you slid just a little bit, it's so easy just to dump time, even just being cautious, that even if you get that slide, you need to go back on the throttle, or else you will drop half a second alone in that sector. So that, to me, that was the worst of it. But I almost spun at Oak Tree, so it's this whole track in general is just pretty difficult for this car.
Matt, what do you got here?
Well, congrats on the P2. Good job hanging on there right there at the end. Even at the beginning, towards the beginning of the race, you and Dario had pretty similar lap times, and then he would have one that's faster than you, and then you would have one that's maybe a little bit quicker than him. Is that a product of the heat and the tires and both of you trying to manage that, or is that mistakes being made by either of you? What do you think played into that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think Dario, the key of this car is a little bit of cat and mouse of tire saving. So Dario would pull ahead. He'd probably think that's enough, but then I would push. And then once I push, I had to, dial it back. I'm not very good at pushing while managing, so that's what costed me. I don't think I had pace on Dario ultimately, but I think I could have been somewhat close had it not been for that spin. But yeah, that's exactly what that was. It's just trying to mentally decide when to push and sort of how to push. There's a couple of sections where I think especially in the final section, Dario was just quicker than me, and then I would have settled just like, okay, he's quicker than me here, but I can focus a lot on the first sector because that's where I think I have this car figured out the most. And yeah, it's just a product of him pushing a bit, me pushing a bit, and yeah, that's how it played out.
Well, a solid bounce back here tonight after a tough Sunday for you last week. But happy to get you back up in booth 200 here with a nice P2 finish. Anybody want to shout out or say hello to here while we got you?
Yeah, I'd love to shout out Team Watson Racing and James Watson. He was going to be here today, but he had something last minute that got called up. But I know that he will be here in the future. I'd like to give my apologies to Enrico. He and I tangoed. I stayed my best to the left, but once we kind of like locked tires, and at that point, yeah, that's just kind of physics just played out that way. I am sorry about that. I didn't mean to. I wanted Enrico to slow Dario down, so me turning him was the last thing I wanted. And yeah, thanks to you guys for doing this. I think the community greatly enjoyed these broadcasts. You folks do an amazing job, and we appreciate the time you take to do our little series here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry I called you a mean name on Wednesday. I didn't mean to do that, but we'll all regroup and move past it here. But good first step in the healing process to get to one interview here without something bad happening. So
yeah, thanks so much, Tommy.
All right, have a good one, partner. Oh, yep. Well, I guess if you don't know what I'm talking about, you won't be able to see it because right now all of our ASRL coverage is offline for a reason I don't want to talk about, but it will be back soon. It'll be back in a live capacity on Wednesday from Monza combined. But before then, we do have trucks at USA. It is Venom Truck Series back in action at USA International for some short tracking. Wednesday with ASRL at Monza combined. Thursday is Max V night at Martinsville. And then we will be back here next Sunday at Lime Rock Park Classic Layout, which is the goated Lime Rock Park layout. That is going to be a blast. Matt Williamson, anything you want to say to send us home here?
Well, thanks to everybody that was hanging out with us here on Sunday afternoon or morning, evening, wherever you're at. Shout out to Race First, Diesel, and Monica for hanging out in the chat with us, and anybody else that was watching, greatly appreciated. And yeah, we have some interesting races coming up this week, so you're definitely not going to want to miss it. I am quite excited to see what happens on Tuesday with that USA International Truck Race. That will be an interesting test for the drivers. And then Lime Rock Park, you said it, it's a classic goated layout. We love that track, and these guys are going to put on a great show for us there.
Absolutely. So we hope to see you back here before next Sunday at Lime Rock. But regardless of when we see you back, we hope that you'll hit subscribe and like on the stream on your way out here this afternoon. Every little bit will help us in our quest to get to 500 and 1,000. And it'll help you get back here on time for next Tuesday's race at USA International. But until we meet again, for everybody with the Mission R community, for the GOAT, Mr. Matt Williamson, I'm Tommy Cook. We are saying so long to VIR, where Dario Frattini wins another one.
A blind knight that uses echolocation.